All right, traders, this is the one you've been waiting for. It is that time to prepare to trade the best setups at the best prices. We are going to be breaking down the key make it or break it levels on where the potential bull and bear traps are going to be created heading into early this week, so you can take advantage of those lucrative trading plans. With that being said, let's get straight into the analysis. Towards the end, we're going to be discussing some stocks as well. So first things first, we need to talk about the one and only, the SPY. So in terms of the SPY, there is a pattern that I am seeing, and the pattern is saying that we are going to push lower, and then another bear trap can potentially get created into that dip. So let me show you in terms of what I'm seeing on the 30-minute, then we're going to be breaking down the daily chart. So in terms of the 30-minute chart, this is what I'm looking at right here. I'm looking at January 23rd. This had a nice push above the previous closing price, turned it into support, and then it really started to close strong. And then right before the market started to close, it sold off very, very hard. And then as you can see, it started to dip lower into the pre-market, and then that's where another bear trap was created for the bulls to push it higher. But then within time the next day, the SPY went lower. I can see something like that, and that's currently what it is that I'm seeing in terms of the SPY. I'm seeing a nice break above the previous closing price, and then it closes weak right here. It starts to close weak right here. And I'm thinking we can get some further downside potential heading into the pre-market, heading into Monday morning. But then there's likely going to be another short-term bear trap created where it starts to spike back up to fill the gap if it gaps down. And then once it fills that gap, then it starts to reverse and goes lower. And then there's another bear trap being created. So here's how I want you to use this information. I personally think we're going to gap down $405.68. That's the previous closing price. That's going to be our new make it or break it level. Another reason why this is going to be a special level is because our strong previous day's resistance was at $405. So I want you to think of 405 to 405.68 as a key make or break zone, and the 405.68 is going to be the best level. If the SPY gaps down, do not get trapped as a bear and go short into the gap. Wait for it to fill the gap. Wait for it to spike back up to 405.68. If it does gap down, that's where you're going to want to play the puts with a max risk of $407. In terms of the overall targets on that, your targets would be right towards this resting period. You have a lot of support at this 403.50. So that would be your target right around this pre-market support, right? So if it gaps down and it starts selling off at open, I really don't want you to do anything in a sense. I want you to wait for the gap to fill at 405.68, whether it fills that day or fills this week. Give it some time. Within time, we should be able to fill that, right? So that would be the plan in terms of the bears. Now, if this gaps up, then 405.68 is going to be make or break. If it gaps up and fills the gap and then it goes green to red and it forms a roof, it forms a ceiling at 405.68, play the puts, write it down to 404. If it gaps up and it forms support at 405.68, that means that the bulls are trying to gain back in control, and they will send this to 407. Now, sometimes in terms of these trading plans, I have very strong opinions and a very strong bias due to the patterns that I'm seeing. I'm not always going to have that in these videos because there might not be a pattern. Based off of what I'm seeing, I am leaning towards bearish, and I am leaning towards puts towards 405.68. It just simply must form a roof. If it gaps up, it must go green to red and form a roof. If it gaps down, I'm already considering it bearish, and I'm already confirming it bearish in a sense, and I'm going to just look to kind of get puts at the previous closing price without a bearish confirmation in sense. But it's always best to kind of use that ceiling, use that roof, use that resistance as a confirmation. My confirmation in that situation would be it already crashed, it already gapped down, so if it instantly rips back up to the previous closing price, then I'm going to buy puts. Now, this is what I'm seeing, man. I'm telling you, I'm seeing something like this. It looks just like this. Just sells off. It pushes lower in the pre-market. A bear trap gets created towards the open, towards dips, towards support, and then a bull trap gets created towards the previous closing price, and then it pushes lower next day. I'm seeing something definitely where that can trigger. So there's going to be swing trade opportunities coming up as well. If I get my bearish confirmations, I will look to swing trade. But I'm telling you, something like this is what is going to happen in terms of most probable outcome. We'll have to see how it reacts, but break under the previous closing price, starts to bottom out, fills the gap, and then when it fills the gap, starts to reverse all day. So that previous closing price, I'm telling you, man, is going to be that key level to focus on puts. We're going to be crushing it. In that situation, I would look to go with a 406 strike, which is about 32 cents in the money when it hits the previous closing price of 405.68. That should be more than enough of the cost to join Trader Society. For those of you who do want to join, take advantage of these trading plans. This should be a phenomenal trading opportunity coming up. You must be patient and you must wait for that opportunity. Now, I want to show you what I'm seeing on the daily chart. So in terms of the daily chart, overall direction, I'm seeing a micro bull trap. I'm seeing micro downside potential. It's probably going to take up until Tuesday. Like I said, if we gap down, they're going to try to fill the gap. And then when it fills the gap, that's when the real bear trap is going to be created for a great lucrative opportunity for day trading and likely for swing trading if I can get some sort of confirmation. But I'm already seeing some confirmation. So, we're pushing towards 3-month highs. This is due for some sort of pullback. The bears have been getting absolutely wrecked, right? With that being said, we're due for some sort of micro pullback. In terms of this candlestick, this is not the most bullish candlestick on the daily chart. We're towards major resistance at 4010. We're towards major resistance at 410. We faked out at 407. We got a lot of resistance here towards 3-month highs, right? Wasn't too long ago. We were at new 52-week lows. We're due for some sort of micro pullback. And in terms of this candlestick, overall, for the micro, this isn't the most bullish candlestick on the daily. This is kind of like a wick and kind of like a trend reversal-ish candlestick. This isn't that bullish. It really wants to, by Tuesday, kind of retest that $400, right? So it's not looking the most bullish in a sense for the micro. In terms of the macro, there's people within the chat who thinks we're going to get new lows before we go to 420. SPY has a lot of gaps to fill above. It has gaps to fill above in the 420s. I personally think for the long term, we're going to hit 420 before we get new lows. That's just me personally. And as time goes on, as trend reversal confirmations change, my opinion can change. But I would definitely be interested in swing trading puts if it got to 420. And I could see a short-term swing trade on puts coming up as well. But you have to be extremely careful, man. Do not be ignorant and do not have one bias to this market. In preparation, I'm already short biased, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to take the bias. I need confirmations. I need to see how the market's reacting. I need to see if the history that I'm pointing out is already beginning to work, right? So with that being said, that's what I wanted to bring awareness to. We're at 3-month highs. This doesn't look too bullish on the daily for the micro, and I explained to you in terms of the key levels, right? So with that being said, man, for a decent pullback to trigger, it would have to go under this key level here. Let me disable extended hours so you could see what it is I'm talking about pretty clearly here. In terms of a nice pullback, it would have to go under 404. 404 is likely going to crack, I think, on Tuesday. Once it cracks 404, then we get a nice pullback to $400. And then right around 400, that's a make or break level. They're going to try to bounce it at first, but that's make or break, man. If $400 were to crack and react as a resistance, then we see a nice drop to that 396. But in terms of, like I said, I want you to focus on puts at the previous closing price. If we gap down, I don't want you chasing at open. If anything, it's likely going to be another short-term bear trap to fill the gap, and then another bull trap once the gap fills. That's my opinion. That's the best way to play the SPY. In terms of stocks, man, along with the SPY, I'm already seeing overall direction on stocks where we're due for a short-term pullback into the week, likely into Tuesday. Like I said, what I could see happening Monday is something where it sets up the bears to fail if it gaps down, and then it pushes back up, traps the bears once the gap fills, and then once the gap fills, it starts to reverse the next day into Tuesday to trap the bulls and push lower. That's what I could genuinely see happening. Now, in terms of some examples, in terms of some things that we look for swing trading within Trader Society, we're waiting for stocks to fill their gaps towards key daily resistance. It could be a monthly channel, it could be a weekly channel, it could be a yearly channel. But just to show you what it is that I'm looking at, in terms of now stock is at major resistance on the daily. There was a gap to fill above at $475. And take a look. There was a gap to fill above on now stock right here at $475. It fills the gap. It forms this trend reversal candlestick. Once it fills this gap and forms the trend reversal candlestick, it begins to sell off. And then as you can see, it gapped down at that same price where it previously formed the gap, and look what's happening. It's forming the same trend reversal candlestick, and it's beginning to go lower, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're going to keep an eye on this for some swing trading puts long-term out, right? Those are just some examples, man. But if you just look at stocks for the short term, everything's just inflated for the micro, and we're due for a pullback, and I think that pullback is really going to start to happen into Tuesday. People have been asking me about Tesla. There's going to be a really good play coming up on Tesla. Tesla has a lot of previous support at this $170 to $200 zone, a lot of previous support, which is likely to react as a resistance for the short term. Tesla has a gap to fill above right here at $179. There's a gap to fill on Tesla at $179. As you can see, once it filled that gap at $179, it began to form a gravestone doji. It began to reverse. It began to pull back. So if Tesla opens up red and we can hit 177.90 and it reacts bearish, I'm going to play puts on Tesla for a pullback all the way down to 160. I'm not going to hold that long, but this is due for some sort of pullback. And if I see resistance forming on Tesla at 177.90, I'm going to play for that gap close reversal. It's due for some sort of short-term pullback, right? So those are just some things that I want to bring awareness to. If you're looking at a lot of stocks, you'll see they're towards key attractive levels for the short-term put opportunities. So I want you to focus on those previous closing prices. But yeah, those are some of my game plans heading into the week. We have a lot more information within Trader Society in terms of more stocks that I'm looking at. But the main focus is going to be SPY, man. SPY is the most predictable. I'm going to keep an eye on Tesla too. That looks pretty decent. Now looks decent. There's going to be some leap option opportunities coming up. But in terms of leap long-term puts for SPY, I would wait till 420 instead of saying it's going to get new lows before then. I would wait till 420 personally. But yeah, guys, that's my thoughts. That's my analysis. So if you do, now that you're prepared to trade the best of those prices, you guys should be in a situation where you should have some nice trades coming up. If you do want to trade with us live, we go live every single day on the voice channel. We go live on stream. We're active in Discord all hours of the day for the most part in terms of activity on the Discord. If you want to trade the best setups at the best prices, now is the best time to get started, man. We are in such a great market. It has never been easier to be great. If you have the right strategy, the right trading system, and you're disciplined and you have the right mindset, it has never been easier to be great, man. We have a lot of retail coming into the market. The option volume is going through the roof. The liquidity is getting out of control. And a lot of people don't know what they're doing, and it's fairly easy to take their money, right? So with that being said, if you want to learn how to trade the best setups, and if you want to learn the unique gap trading system that I've created, if you want to be a part of the networking opportunity, the group that I've created, Trader Society, the chat room, you get access to the live trading streams, you get access to the live voice channel, you get access to the key levels, the watch list, the stock analysis, the confirmation. I point out all of the patterns that I'm seeing in real time. There's going to be new patterns that form every single day that are not mentioned in these videos because they haven't formed yet. I bring awareness to them. What I do is I wait. I'm like a sniper. I wait for confirmations to trigger. I wait for patterns to develop, and I'm very good at catching those trends before they become trends. You can become very, very wealthy if you can catch a trend early. You don't have to be the first one to catch it, but if you can learn how to identify and how to spot trends as they're beginning to form, you can profit along that trend, and I could show you how to do that, man. So if you want to learn how to trade the best setups, if you want to be surrounded by this network, if you want to join in terms of this opportunity, it's a one-time fee. It's a lifetime access. You can get started as soon as you join. It's the first link down below in the description. All the information is explained. With that being said, for those of you in Trader Society, I will see you tomorrow live, man. It is going to be a good first 2 days. I'm telling you, man, at this previous closing price with puts, we're set up for a great opportunity. Let's be patient. Let's trade the best setups, the best prices. I will see you guys tomorrow at open.